continued series on talking to real people doing real boating. I'm here with Bob and Ellen on Elbow Room, and we'll get into how that name came about in a minute if you haven't already guessed. But Bob, let's talk a little bit about when and how you got into boating and why sailing.
Well, growing up, I grew up in central New York, and we had the Finger Lakes up there, and we were power boaters, my family was, but powerboat, sailboat, entirely different ball game. And on our honeymoon, my wife and I went to Bar Harbor, Maine, and what a beautiful spot, mainly to eat lobster. But while we were there, maybe the second day, we were on the breakwater there on the pier, and this couple pulled in, and maybe a 25-foot sailboat. And I was just mesmerized. They came, hit the dock, walked up the gangplank, and they said, have you seen the harbor master's office? And I said, yeah, it's over there. I said, did you just come here from another place? They said, oh yeah, we've been out for several weeks. We sail around and go to different towns and tie up or anchor out. And I just said, and they went off to the harbor master. I told my wife, I said, that is the coolest, most romantic thing I've ever seen. We got to go look into that. And a couple days later, we decided we saw one of these take a ride on a sailboat thing, and for a couple hours. And early one morning, we were supposed to meet them down there, and they didn't show. We called, and they said, well, it's really foggy. You sure you want to go? And we said, of course. We want to go. And so they came on down, and we set sail, or under motor at first, and really foggy, maybe 50-yard top visibility. Yeah, Maine. And we got out there, and all of a sudden they cut the engine, and the sound, it was just, there wasn't any. And particularly with fog, and that depressed sound, and just through the water.
Nice.
And, it was wonderful. And a little while later, he says, I think we have porpoise off here to our port side. And a couple, we could look through the fog, and when we saw them breaching, getting some air and stuff, it was really cool. And about 5 years later, we bought a small boat, a 20-foot Ensenada boat, had a little cabin, and we learned how to sail on Cuba Lake, the Finger Lakes of New York.
Oh, that's beautiful up there.
Oh, it is. Great summers and stuff, and just had a great time. Scared the heck out of ourselves, week after week. You go out there, and it's a different feeling, and we had to get used to the boat, and it would heal, and it was a little scary, and it took about 3 years to really get it.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah, well, we did. And we finally, once we got it, it was like, okay. So our next step was we chartered a boat here in Rock Hall. Oh. They used to have a charter company, Gratitude, and we chartered an Island Packet 27, 1986. We came on down. And, of course, with the old 20-foot, it's a different feel. We looked out there the first day and hit big waves and big wind, and I was scared to death. I said, no, can't do it. So we looked around marinas, and we saw a couple boats, and we talked and said, maybe time to move on. And that night we went out and dropped anchor. Wow. Dropped anchor over in Swan Creek, we're there by ourselves and lightly rocking. And then we did the other tourist things that everybody, if you only have a week to do, you hit Baltimore for 2 days, and we went all the way down to St. Michael's. We hit a couple anchorages on the way in. As we came back to the dock, my wife said, now we looked at a Catalina 25, yep, and we looked at a 27, why would we buy the 25? I said, well, it's the next step up, I guess. She says, why wouldn't we skip that step and go right to the 27? I got a wonderful wife.
Yeah.
And we did. We bought the 27.
Many women do that.
That's true. Well, we bought the 27, had it trucked up to central New York, Cuba Lake, and we sailed up there for years and had a wonderful time. Oh my goodness. We took it through the canals up to Lake Ontario twice, and sailed up there, sailed on every weekend. That was our summer weekend places. Of course, we were both working, and that was enjoyable. We always talked about, I guess it was mainly me talking, said, when I retire, I want to get on a boat and sail away. And I was, oh yes. And all of a sudden we got a little closer to retirement. She goes, well, we'll see. And I go, whoa. So we talked about things, and life's a compromise, and we decided that maybe I wanted to do something in boating, and she wasn't going to live on a boat, not permanently full time anyway. And we went to a boat show, and we talked over at Annapolis, the big boat show. We talked about maybe buying a charter boat. And then my wife is always the reasonable one, said, now, if we did that, how often would we really get to use that boat? And you don't make money on it. It's just a way to help subsidize payments on it. And I said, well, we could probably use it like 3 times a year. She goes, that doesn't sound like a very good investment. I go, no, it really, no. She goes, why don't we look into buying a boat and keep it on the Chesapeake Bay. We always loved the Chesapeake Bay.
Oh, yeah. Chesapeake Bay is great boating.
And we're in the pearl of it,
yes.
and it's so true. And we came back, and we ended up, we looked, saw boats that were faster and more sleeker, but we're traditional type of people, you know, and I like teak. And the new ones are much more sophisticated and all, but this is our type of boat. It's an Island Packet 31.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the boat.
Well, it was an old boat. It's an 87.
We're going to kind of go back and forth here on things. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the boat.
Well, it's a 1987. It was not modernized. And, you know, in 87, very few boats had refrigeration. Had to add refrigeration because we were going through a lot of ice. Mm-hmm. Big, 11 cubic foot icebox. So.
Yeah.
But didn't have that. No electronics. Had to add all new electronics. A lot of things. Air conditioning. Oh, this year we added it in the spring. Wow, what a summer to add air conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
Thank goodness.
I'll bet.
It was so hot. Last year we had a couple nights that were difficult to sleep, but this summer would have been just brutal, and thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
You know, had a great guy we worked with get installed, and came up with a nice, you know, a unit that fits us, and it works well.
Okay, so this is a 31 foot.
31 foot.
What's your draft?
We only draw 4 feet, which is pretty good. The bay can be tough, yeah.
The bay can be tough.
Yep.
And how about your beam? How wide are you?
I think it's 11 feet, so
that's pretty good.
That's pretty wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't win a lot of races.
Well, like you said earlier, though, we're not racers. You know, cruisers are not usually racers, too.
No.
What kind of engine do you have in this?
We've got a Yanmar 27, and it's original. We've had some issues, you know, and I think that's one of the big things about boating is you really need to take some time to know your boat and trust your boat and learn how to take care of the minor things. This is our second full season of a second full summer of being on the boat, and I'd say we've learned an awful lot of things. We've had several issues with the engine, and most of them I was able to fix myself. So you know,
now, you and Ellen you still have a land home.
We do.
And you live, what, 4, 5, 6 hours, 10 hours?
10. We're on a good day. Yeah, we're in just outside of Columbia, South Carolina, which is a good winter home.
But so basically your summers, you're living on the boat.
Right.
You're here 24/7.
Pretty much.
During the summer.
Right. We do go back occasionally. You know, you get a dentist appointment or whatever, and so we'll go back once or twice. I guess it's been twice this summer for take care of some issues at home. The mail's held. We have a wonderful neighbors who check on the house and stuff. Her parents are still with us, and they're up in Poughkeepsie, New York. So it's about 4.5 hours to go visit them, and so certainly much closer than Columbia, South Carolina, 14, 15 hours. And stuff. So it's a bit of a compromise, and we have to be. There are times that I could stay on the boat all the time. It would never bother me. But Ellen does sometimes get a little stir crazy, particularly if you have multiple days of rain, or if it gets a little rougher. We go to Annapolis. We'll go to Middletown, Delaware. It's not too far away. Or several times we've been up to visit her parents, just to give her a little bit of a break and to get out.
Well, now what do you guys like to do on the boat? Where do you like to go, and what kind of things do you like to do?
Well, for us, now a lot of people are weekenders. They come to the boat and boom, they got to go out. You know, they got 2 days. They got maybe if they can take a 3-day weekend, you know, and they've got to get out there to those anchorages and get away and sail away, drop that hook, and enjoy themselves. Hurry. And being retired, we don't have to do that, fortunately. And so a lot of times we'll look to be back here to the dock on a Friday and let everybody go on out and fill up those anchorages, and that's nice, and that's our time to be at the dock. And we have friends here. It's nice and comfortable.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah, and then we take off on Sunday, and we'll go out. And a lot of times the anchorages, the different ones, we're very close to Swan Creek, 45 minutes away. There's Gibson Island across the bay, not too far. We have so many different anchorages you can go to. And many times on a Sunday afternoon, there's a lot of boaters there. But by 5 o'clock, they go home, and many times we have the anchorage completely to ourselves. And just enjoy. We drop the anchor and have some wine and cheese in the cockpit and watch nature go by. Eagles in many places. It's wonderful to see them back, you know, now. They're coming around. This summer 3 times now. We've been out in the bay, and all of a sudden we realized that we had dolphins all around us.
I'll be done.
Yeah, and this time
it's far out
north of the bridge this time, and I've always heard people talk, oh, well, they're there, but they're south, they're by way down towards the Potomac, and it's a long ways. And this year they've come up, and it's great. Also, with all the rain this year, the water isn't as salty, and therefore the sea nettles have stayed south, and the jellyfish.
That's a good point.
So I've been able to, go swimming all the time and just cool off in the bay. And
so does Ellen like to stand on the bow pulpit and dive in?
She likes to stand on the ball put and watch me swim. Maybe she doesn't go in the water. It's too bad. But
that's too bad.
Yeah,
no,
but it's great.
Good. That's good.
We have a little dinghy that we it stores in a locker. It's folds up into a little container, and I'll open on up, blow it on up, and we've gone to Annapolis, picked up moorings, all rowed ashore there. Or another wonderful anchorage is Harness Creek, just a little bit south of Annapolis. It's right by Stillwater's State Park, Maryland State Park. And we'll go to shore and walk around the state park. It's wonderful, and it's great just being out there.
What are some of a couple of the key things that you really like about the boating and sailing lifestyle?
Everybody is very non-judgmental. I mean, we're an island pack of 31, and we're probably one of the smaller boats here. And you never get the ego of, well, we have a 35, we have a 40, we have a 42, and they do. I mean, a lot of these people have much nicer boats, much more valuable than ours, and we never get that snobbish at all. And everybody is so helpful.
Yeah, that's true.
We have wonderful neighbors here.
Yeah, and all the marinas I've been to, I just see, you need a hand, and people come and help. Of course, docking.
Oh boy, when they see me docking, they all flock to help.
I've heard, now, I mean, I don't want to tell stories, but I've heard that they put the lawn chairs up and then they hold up cards 1 through 10.
Yeah.
No.
Thank God I don't go to minus.
Yeah. So then what are some of the drawbacks or negatives? I'm sure there are. I know I have a few, but what are yours?
My wife's always the calm one, and I tend to sometimes get a little uncalm and stuff. And you got to be careful of not be Captain Bligh, and I've worked on that, because there are times things get a little tense. You're coming in, something's not going right, and you want to be clear with your directions, but sometimes that comes off as being blunt. And Ellen's a sensitive lady, and so I've got to be careful. And so we've worked real hard on communication, being careful. We had some trouble anchoring and trying to get that down, so I'm not shouting orders at her over the engine, over the wind and things. And we've worked real good on hand signals.
That's good.
Yeah, we've got when we go up, ready to drop in, I'll say, what's our depth? And she'll say, it's 7 feet. Well, I like to put down almost a 10-to-1 scope, so that means we're going to put out 70 feet, which is going to hold me no matter what. So when I drop it down, we're trying to give signals. All right, forward, forward, give me a little more juice, cut it, neutral, or reverse. And one of the first times we went to pull the anchor up, we don't have a windlass, a winch to pull up the anchor. Yeah. I'm the windlass. And the wind had turned us, and the anchor was off to an angle. And
so you weren't straight on.
No. And of course, I can't. I'm trying to get Ellen to turn the boat. So she, we're going to put it in forward. Yep. Okay. And I go, cut around to the left. Clear to me, right? And she just looked at me like, what?
You've been drinking this morning?
She understood this, she understood this, So afterwards, we were like, okay, here's what went wrong, here's what I was trying to say. And, so now
That's a nice idea. And I've talked to other people too, and, when things go bad, it's not good to just leave it there.
There's hurt feelings. You got to explain what happened and why.
What happened and why, and then talk about, well, how are we going to handle this in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I came in to get pumped out one day, and the way I hit the dock, I was okay, but we got hit with a gust of wind that just brought that boat around, and she's trying, and now it pivoted on out, and she's trying to hang on to the bow, and at that point, I couldn't control it, and I just, so rather than say, darling, I think you need to undo that line and let's just leave it on the cleat and we'll get out of here. I was like, let go of that line, throw it, and I mean, I had the boat hook I was holding, and it got caught a little bit. I dumped the boat hook.
Sure.
And got out of there before we're were, any did any damage. And then afterwards, she's like, you yelled. I said, I wanted you to have it real clear. There was no saving that, no saving that docking. We had to do it again and stuff, which she understood.
Well,
and because you're always, that's one thing, you're the captain and you're always responsible. And so you want to be Captain Bligh.
No,
but you're still the captain.
Yeah, you're still the, and that's the compromise that you've talked about.
We've done pretty good with that, I think.
And I've talked to people who really it's some people it's not good for the relationship. Others, it has been a blessing on the relationship, and that's when it sounds like you and Ellen have got a nice
pretty good
in there.
Have to, because she can't get more than 31 feet away.
Or she could throw you overboard.
Well, that's a possibility.
So you guys have been doing this for a few years now.
Actually, since we started in '82, although the first boat was pretty small, I'd have to say.
The liveaboard, part-time liveaboard thing.
This is 2 full summers now.
Full summers now?
Yeah.
What advice would you give people, or pointers, maybe, whatever you want to talk about, people who are thinking about getting into this, and a lot of you guys are, and we're all getting to, a lot of us are getting to that age or past that age where it's time to retire, and what are you going to do? And I see on Facebook where people are talking about this. What kind of advice or pointers would you have for those people that are in this transition?
Don't wait a real long time, because this is a physical thing.
Yes.
You're really docking, undocking, getting the anchor down, getting the anchor up. It's physical. And, the clock's ticking. And you don't have a real long time physically that you'll be able to do this unless you can afford to hire somebody, and there's no fun in that.
Yeah.
But communicate, talk, and get to know your boat. I mean, really, that first year.
Good point.
First year, people say, "Well, are you going to go out sailing?" No, we got some issues. We got to work on the boat. We got to do some things, and then we just go over to Swan Creek. It's 45 minutes around the corner. Drop the hook, and they go, "Well, what's the fun of that?" And I go, "Well, we're at anchor, and we're out. We're getting to know things." Last year, we anchored out a bit more. We had some engine issues. We got towed in one time. Other times, and it turned out that it was engine mounts. And there are times that people call for help immediately. We're not that type of person. If I manage to get aground, I'll figure out how to get us ungrounded pretty quick if I can. But then this time the engine was bouncing. And I looked in and I could feel it. The boat was shaking, so something was wrong. And I didn't know what was wrong, except that we had to be towed. I just figured if running the engine that way, it would tear up the transmission, which of course then could tear up the drive shaft, which could tear up, it keeps going, the cutlass bearing and problems. So we had a tow in, but other than that, we get ourselves off and, just calm down with the situations and be aware of your situations. Now, being that we sailed 99% of the time with just 2 people, we also, last year, bought the little suspender.
Suspender.
Those are automatic inflation things, and they're not terribly heavy. They're not terribly bulky. Sometimes it's a little warm, but that's just a safety thing. And when we go anywhere, we put them on. I might have taken a lesson or two, or try to enlist some friends that sailed and spent more time with instruction, whether it's formal or whether it's casual. And but I'm not that type of guy. I read a book, screwed up, learned from my mistakes, and then we've chartered several times, and we've chartered here in the Chesapeake Bay twice, and a couple of years ago we chartered in the Caribbean. And sometimes they want, a formal document of what are your experiences, but other times, you put down a resume of here's what I've done, and a lot of times they'll come on board and just talk to you.
Sure.
And after you talk to a sailor for a little bit, you know what they're doing. You know whether they, they're not going to make any money if their boat's at the dock, but they're not going to make any money if it's wrecked on the bottom of a bay or the ocean either.
Okay.
But it's a unique lifestyle, but gosh, it's a lot of fun, and you just really get in tune with your mate and with nature and with your environment.
Well, there you are, guys. You got it. Right from a real person's point of view that's out there doing this all the time. And I think one of the key points is don't wait too long. It's never too early to start. So anyway, until next time, happy and safe boating to you, your family, and friends. Bob, thanks.
Oh, thank you, Tom. It's nice talking to you.